Hey folks, Libby here once again. Welcome back to another video. Hope you enjoyed my thoughts on favorite episodes of Arrow Season 6. I just wear my other YouTube shirt here. Let me see if I can just hold on the chair a little bit. Yeah, my other YouTube shirt. Sorry, I'm not trying to show you my fatness, but you know. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry I haven't been doing videos in a while. I've just been watching the show and stuff. As you know, I've been doing a superhero marathon on my YouTube channel and my previous channel that I used to have, but this is my new channel. Remember, Levi McNally 983 with the mask profile picture of the Jim Carrey movie from 1994 is my profile picture. Remember, stick to this channel. I thank you guys for the 458 subs. We're getting close to 500. Seems like we're getting there, you know. And when I do get there, I will do a Q&A eventually when I get to 500 subs. Yes, eventually. But one thing I'll focus on right now is just talking about, for Super Marathon, I'm talking about the Arrowverse shows. Phase 4, I call it, for the superhero TV shows. Um, Hopefully, I'll be able to talk about some more shows, but if not, I can also move on to my own personal reviews after this. Well, not after this, but I will after this season. Well, this is my thoughts. So, favorite episodes of Arrow season 7. By the way, this is what this video is going to be called. Before I get into it, though, I will talk about Arrow season 8, which is the final season, Legends of Tomorrow. Uh, just because things going on in life, I might not be able to afford to get Black Lightning season 1 or 2, or Stargirl season 2 and 3, and Superman Lois season 3 and 4. I can still Well, I may talk about them. It just depends, folks. If not, then I can always just move on to the Arnold Schwarzenegger Marathon. I'm sorry, folks. It's just life in general. I'm not rich, but I don't want to get too personal on here. I hate talking about my personal life on here. That's really my business, and don't want to discuss that. But I just want to briefly mention that. Just guys, it's life in general. Stuff just happens in life. You know. Yeah. I've been working hard at FedEx. I've been busy working Monday through Friday, so trying my best to do what I can and working my ass off. So, so, and without that, you gotta pay bills, gotta pay for groceries, gas, especially. I've been having to pay for gas a lot recently with my car because I drove bits away. But anyway, in order for me to buy movies or TV shows like this, you gotta have money. Yeah, I wish I could just have it on my silver platter. It'd be nice, but life doesn't work like that. You just gotta work for stuff and make money. When you want to buy movies or buy things, you have to have money. No one's just gonna say you get it for free. No, that doesn't happen. But anyway, guys, that's just want to briefly mention that stuff. Not getting too personal there, but so anyway, Arrow season 7. I did not care for the season too much. Now I don't hate it as much as I do. I hated season 5, especially season 6. I hated that one. This season, I thought I thought some of it was decent, but I didn't really care too much for it. I still think Arrow has gone downhill from here ever since season 5, just plummeted down. Season 3 and 4, I do think was the beginning of downhill of the show. But season 5, 6, and 7 here, that's just when the show plummeted completely for me. It just became, I just stopped caring for it, and where they were going with the shows and new characters and stuff. Yeah, in this season, Oliver's in jail. You probably know the promo when this season came out of Oliver. You got a picture of him, being in prison, being an inmate. And I'm like, I was actually okay with that. I didn't mind that. They didn't show enough of it, but I was, it was more of it. But it was a decent season. Some things I did like. I do like the new villainess, Amigo Queen, a new character who's a villain in here. Oliver's sister. Yeah, you can say it's random, but I just didn't care for the season too much. Some things I did like in it. I don't hate it, but I just was not a big fan of it either. So anyway, and I do get my you know favorites. And okay, I didn't really have at least a favorite episode. Like I said, I just didn't hate this season. I do already have prepared for season 8 as well when we get to that one. Which I think season 8 is only 10 episodes this season. I will not talk about it's you got the Elseworlds crossover where Oliver and Barry switch life, where Oliver is like the Flash and Barry's Green Arrow. But we will not be talking. We will be. Can I talk? We will be reviewing the crossovers, of course. Yes, that's my plan. I won't forget those. You know, I'm definitely planning on reviewing the crossovers and sharing my Flash and Supergirl videos on my new channel as well. Yeah. But anyway, what was that? Yeah. So the episode's written down. So let's get into the season, shall we? And there will be spoilers here. So if you've not seen Arrow season, any of the seasons at all, including season 7, do not watch this video. And this is going to be a part 1 and part 2 video, 2-part video. This is part 1. So anyway, let's get started, shall we? So in this season, the plot is in Arrow season 7, Felicity seeks new allies to help catch Ricardo Diaz, and release Oliver, who's been in prison. He had to make immunity for the team. He got, he had to confess that he was the Green Arrow to Agent Watson, FBI Agent Watson, and because of that deal, he had to go to prison. Everybody else gets immunity, which means that the team, Wild Dog, Black Canary, they can't be vigilant. John can't be Spartan anymore. They can't be vigilantes anymore, so they have to take their mask off and just be civilians. You know, following his defeat of Diaz and his prison release, Oliver does defeat Diaz and his team. They get deputized by the CCPD. They work with the law. So he meets his half sister in the season named Amiko Queen. She emerges as the new Green Arrow while Oliver's in prison. However, spoiler, is later revealed that she's the leader of the terrorist group known as the Ninth Circle. And I'll get into more details about her past and stuff with Oliver. Like I said, she's also his half sister, but I'll get into reasons why she's a villain. The season features flash forwards to 20 years in the future, with the now adult William receiving a mysterious message, joining Oliver from Felicity, joining Oliver's former allies. That is including we get a bit more Roy Harper Arsenal in this season, which I think is cool, and a future Black Canary. Also Zoe, who is Renee's Wild Dog's daughter, and John's kid as well, Connor. Oh, yeah, adopted son. I mean, but they're adults, and they discover his half sister. That is Oliver. Oh, I freaking talk. Oliver and Felicity's daughter, Mia Smoke. So they have to work to save the city from a cyber attack. So that's going on. So we get instead of flash forwards to the past, we get flash forwards to the future, 2040, the year 2040 of Star City. Sorry. So anyway, like, I don't have to. Okay. Remember, this just is my opinion. If you love the season, and you think it's great, that's fine. You're more than willing to disagree with me on anything. Anybody is willing to disagree with me on anything. I don't think you have to agree with me. But anyway, let's get into the seasons. I got my pen too. So first episode of season 7. This is my favorite, one of my favorite episodes. The pilot episode, the first episode of season 7, that is Inmate 4587. Yeah, and this episode runs through. It runs. You see William running and Leanne Yu, and Felicity's running. You see they're both, frantic, and they're running from Cortez. Diaz is like, I'm gonna catch you too. And Diaz, like I said, he didn't die in season 6 when Black Siren, when Laura like just did her yell, her cry. Even though he fell into that lake, I would think he would drown or be dead after that. But no, he survived it. But this is just a dream. As you see Oliver in prison, he's in Slapside Maximum Security prison. He's like, "Good morning, 4587. It's gonna be a good day today." So he just Oliver is in prison now. He's got his hair cut. He's bald headed. He basically just keeps to himself. You have his other foes there, like Vinnie Jones is there. The guy who plays the actor plays Samson, Derek Sampson, who you saw season 5. Vinnie Jones was in season 3 as Brick, and you also have Bronze Eagle, not Bronze Eagle, Bronze Tiger. Uh, it was nice to have Michael J. White in the season as well. Like I said, he was probably known for a crappy superhero movie that he wasn't terrible in it, but that was Spawn. But really good actor as well. He was great. Yeah, but he's just eating every day, just keeping to himself. People put in there, like I said, Derek Sampson and Ben Turner. They try to intimidate him, get a reaction from him, but Oliver just ignores them. They'll either like take his food or mess with him, but Oliver's like, just leave me alone. They'll try to be threatening to him. Yeah. Continues his exercise and attempts to stay out of people's way. Then he meets this one inmate named Stanley Dover, who says, I'm a big fan of the Green Arrow, Oliver. You're big guy's like, I'm not that person anymore. He's like, leave me alone. He even tries to sit next to Oliver at lunch. Oliver's like, leave me alone. Don't sit next to me. Don't talk to me. Yeah. And he wants Oliver to protect him, but Oliver's like, no. I mean, Stanley will get tortured by these inmates or they'll mess with him, but Oliver just leaves him alone. Yeah. And then, like I said, Turner, Bronze Tiger, Michael J. White, and Vinnie Jones, they want revenge against him. So, for putting in there, because he put them in prison, Oliver does fight back, though, and plants an illegal weapon on Turner, gets him sent to the hole. Then, Star City, you see these criminals out there. Uh, like I said, Diana Lance, she kept the new Black Canary. Well, she's captain of the CCPD now. Renee, him and his daughter, he works at a gym, they're doing boxing. But you have this new Green Arrow shooting at people. They don't know who's in the behind the mask. She like wears a cover, sure messes the voice with this new Green Arrow. This Green Arrow also saves Renee from these bad guys as well. He gets a visitation from John Diggle. John Diggle, who now works with his wife at Argus. And he talks about John about the safety of his wife. He says they're in witness protection. Oh yeah, Felicity, she's got this ridiculous pink hair. She's working at a coffee shop, just laying low, and her hair just looks awful. By the way, she looks awful. This guy tries to flirt with her, which I didn't care too much about that. She and William are there. William's staying with her. They're in witness protection, but unfortunately, Ricardo Diaz ends up finding them, almost kills her, and Diaz is still on the run. So I guess Diaz, wherever he was in, whatever situation he was in, I guess he escaped from it, and now he's on the run to get revenge. Oliver just tells John that he's trying to be good in there, shorten his sentence. That if he figures he lays low and just doesn't do any causing trouble, everything will be all right. Oh yeah, her long hair. She's got long hair with pink stripes, which I didn't like at all. Sorry. And she gets her new name. She gives herself a new name, Aaron. But apparently, this FBI stuff doesn't work because this witness protection is just awful. Like I said, because Diaz does try to kill them a little later in the episode. Yeah. Diana's questioning this criminal. Tells her about the new Green Arrow that, and Drake's gonna go after them. But Renee's like, well, this vigilante's doing something good. Well, it's illegal. We can't do that no more. We have immunity. Can't be vigilantes no more. It's the law. The law is the law. And you gotta go by it. So Felicity Bidsall tells him William being sent to Cambridge, where Oliver tells her to go into. Well, Oliver gets into a fight in the shower. By the way, these guys try to shank him, as you can say. I think they call that in prison. But Oliver beats these guys up. And he tells Felicity, please go and watch it. She's like, no, I go into the. And Felicity just does not listen. I'm like, really? Oliver's trying to tell you to go be safe with William, but she decides to just abandon William, which, yeah, they say just trying to protect him. Well, she needs to protect herself. She needs to go with William because William needs a mother figure right now. And I think Felicity was being selfish there. Yes, you say, well, she's protecting her family. Okay, I get that, but still, he should listen to Oliver. 'Cause she was actually pretty close to getting killed. She was this close to getting killed by Diaz. But of course, Felicity's always got to be proven right. I'm like, doesn't want to, he can't even listen to Oliver one damn bit. So, yeah. Or it might have been this episode. I don't remember. Hmm. Yeah, well, of course, Ray's at his home in the, with Zoe, in a gym teaching kids how to fight. But we do get in a flash forward set 20 years in the future. You have an adult William, though, goes to the NU. He's just going there. He's got a boatman taking him there to the island. He's doing the search. He's got this rock that his father had, that Oliver had, that Oliver was given to. I forget who gave it to him, the rock. But he got it on the island, probably from Slade Wilson or somebody. Or, no, I think Shadow might have gave it to him. Anyway, Oliver, he runs into this archer, and this archer, you find out, is Roy Hopper. So that was nice to see Roy, and then the episode ends there. But I did like the episode for what it was, despite a little bit of issues. But I like Felicity was attacked here. I think it was nice, but whatever. It does happen, though. Mm, right? Then another favorite episode of mine is called The Long Bow Hunters. I don't know, for some reason I just like this episode because of these characters they bring in as well. I did think it was interesting Oliver being in prison, though. Some people might not think it, but I do think it was. I think it's a little late in the game for the show, but I thought it was pretty decent. Oh, because Oliver got into a fight with the Vinnie Jones's character. He gets sent to the hole. Well, yeah, he gets sent to the hole. Basically, it's like a place in the dark, and it's not really fun for the inmates to be in. Team Arrow gets together like for supper. They find out that Diaz has new companions or his own partners. They find out the lone bow hunters. They said they're sighting Nargis. There's this woman who is able to like trick this guy like she's got like electricity. One guy's like a real tough looking Captain America dude with a beard, and this one woman who can turn the sound off and stuff, like make things go silent. If this break in happens, they steal some tech that Diaz is after. Curtis is Curtis, Mr. Terrific, who's not Mr. Terrific anymore, is now working with Argus. So Felicity and Curtis, they want to, Felicity wants to help in catch these longbow hunters, but he says, tells her no. Mm. So Diana connects with Laura. Laura is after her father, supposed father, not really father, but out of respect for Quentin, she chooses to become a lawyer. So you do see her in the first episode, learn to become a lawyer. She's read some law books, and she can easily just do it because people think that she's the Laura Thorne, Laura Lance. Yeah. So, she's telling Laura, you need protection. the Longbow Hunters where Diaz might come after you. She's like, I'm not scared. I need somebody to look after me. And Diana decides to look after her. Oliver does approach Brick and Samson. He's like, you got a death wish, mate, you know. And that he wants to know the location of record. Where's Diaz at? But Brick close to Oliver that he makes some hard memories in the previous city hall leader and demands that Oliver take care of it. The gatekeeper, that the guys that the guard that watches him every morning to get rid of him to probably kill him because Oliver is looking for a thing he called in. Just needs this information on Diaz. So Felicity and Curtis they hack into Argus's database about the Longbow Hunters. They discover that the hunters aren't home and choose to enter the destruction for a more look. Although doing that, Argus, yeah, they along with Renee, they break into this place, but eventually Argus catches them. But they figure that this stolen tech is a fit for being changed into a weapon that can level the city. And John gets on Felicity like, "Why you do this?" Felicity's just being a pain. Well, this stuff happened to me. Oliver went to jail for a good reason, Felicity. I know it sucked. Again, I never liked them being together. I never supported it from the beginning. I never thought these two should have been together. This was so stupid. Oliver should have been with Sarah or even Laurel. Well, even though Sarah knows on the show Legends of Tomorrow now, but still, I just don't really see that the relationship never worked out for me. I just never really cared for it. The way it was just written. So, Stanley Oliver does help. Oh, Peter York. So, they call us like, well, I thought it was pretty cool though. Oliver gets like I don't know how to explain it, but like a little paper or whatever, like a little pencil, and he kind of does something with it to make it like a little arrow, shoots it up in the air, and like if I'm looking at my light right there, my lamp, like Oliver shoots into a lamp to a light bulb, and he just shoots it there, which I thought was pretty cool. They found out information on Peter York about his family and stuff, and Oliver even tries to warn York, Officer York, so to that you're gonna die, you need to resign, and of course he refuses, doesn't listen to Oliver. He's like, I get threats here every day. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But eventually, Felicity and John have another argument. And he's like, Argus is doing this for other reasons. It's it's illegal what you're doing, Felicity. Oliver gets hauled in the yard by Brick and his friends, and he says, "You gotta kill. We want you to kill York. And if he kills York or gets rid of him, they'll tell him what he wants to know about Recorder Diaz, about how to look for him. And York doesn't trust him because he just sees him as a vigilante. He's like, I don't trust you. You know, and she won't. John. Felicity and John, like I said, about the arguments, she's like, well, why don't you wear the Green Arrow mask or whatever? And John's like, well, that just wasn't me. And for me, it just didn't work out for me. I thought it was stupid them making him Green Arrow because he watched it destroy all of Felicity's lives. You know, with William and stuff, and he doesn't want that to happen to his family. So, which I'll give John a good reason, but Felicity kind of bitches at him about it. I'm like, at least he had a good reason, Felicity. Yeah, that's why he won't put on the hood. Yeah, and also in the episode, Laura tries to go back to her way. She tries to like kill somebody, but Diana stops her. Felicity, her and John do come to a conclusion and understanding, and they try to help each other get this tech from the longbow hunters. They have to get on this train. You know, while on the train, Devil sees Diaz. He's like, "How you doing, Johnny?" He's like a Diaz is like shooting a flamethrower at him. They're fighting a little bit, and pretty much she wants to kill Diaz. She's hell bent on killing Diaz. Felicity is, but they gotta like take the train off or whatever. Like switch the trains to get off. So basically, Diaz and his longbow hunters get away. So Felicity said they go from Diaz. So it's like, well, we had to get this weapon away from us. More important, Felicity, than your revenge right now. Eventually, Laura does get help from Diana a little bit, and she agrees to protect the Winter protection, and even apologizes to her for murdering Vincent. And she's like, "I regret doing that every day." And Oliver starts this conversation with Officer York. Um, Oliver, is able to grab York's hand and get or to like stab him. Well, pretend it just gets her to like touch it, and he grabs York's hand, and it's like, "Oh, you stabbed me! You stabbed me!" And then he gets arrested for doing that. Then you have Felicity saying, "Well, I need your help. I know we don't see eye to eye," and she's asking Officer Agent Watson for help. Then in the flash forward to the future, though, we see William and Roy gather around at the fire. Yeah, apparently. Oh yeah, William's gay, by the way. They made him gay. I'm like, oh, I didn't really care about that. But anyway, they talk about old times with Oliver. I mean, Roy won't discuss his relationship with Thea, what happened there. So they give to him containing the GPS directions to Leanne Yu. Roy warns him to toss it in the sea, never think back. So him and William later dig up Oliver's hidden stash. They see the graves of like Robert Queen, Shadow, and Diana. The woman that he met in season 4. He and William later dig up Oliver's hidden flash, and then so they said, "We gotta go back to Star City." And the episode ends there. I didn't mind that. I like the feature, where him and Roy are talking. But I did think it was funny when Roy was like talking about something. Like, no, I didn't mention that. But anyway, that was good. I like that in the episode. And the little Bone Hunter characters are pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, but that was the Lone Bow Hunters. 28 minutes in. Okay. And this episode I thought was okay. That is, this episode was called Crossing Lines. This episode I thought was alright. This episode starts with Oliver, begins with a beating. Apparently Oliver might have done it. What we seen. You see Felicity from the previous episode talking to Agent Watson, and Watson refuses at first. He's like, "Will your husband choose to put on the mask? I'm sorry, but I apologize for. I did my job, put him in prison because what he was doing was illegal." And again, I don't like the Agent Watson character, but she does decide to help Felicity out. She's like, she's basically trying to tell her, go back to witness protection, but Felicity won't let it go. Oliver and Stanley are experiencing the cafeteria lines. I forgot to mention though, this is one of the episodes where Stanley gets a beating from Turner, Brigg, and Sampson, and Oliver doesn't help him. He's cries like, "You're not the Green Arrow. You're not the Green Arrow. Talk to me." Mm. Just to bring that up. Sorry. Oliver goes up to Brick about, while he's up at the end of the deal. So Brick tells him about there's someone deep in the prison. There's a level two of the prison, that when you go there, there's somebody named the Demon there. And I'll go ahead and spoil it for you. Like to spoil it. It's Talia al Ghul. Come on, the Demon. You know it had to be an al Ghul anyway. You had to know it. Come on, they're not fooling you when they say the Demon. And Nissa's not in jail. Oh, by the way, she did survive Lian Yu, season 5. But anyway. But so Diggle was getting his child to fake cross examination, which I thought was funny. JJ opened, opened the box of cookies or whatever, and he's like, how did you open these box cookies? I thought it was a funny moment. Lila walks in and is like, now be good. He's like, cause I'm his mother. So Diggle and Lila, they have to go to leave town out of business. Agent Watson goes over the DS case with her partner at the API. Felicity and Renee are talking about their choices. They want to sneak in the CDC to get the whereabouts of Diaz. So basically, in Switzerland, Diggle, Lila, and Curtis are dealing with a marking of a guy named Peter Talash. He's supervisor of a neighborhood bank that has connections to criminal managers. So Diggle and Lila claim to be opening up a store box, putting away cabinets to give Curtis some time to back into the bank's PC frameworks so he can hack into it. Felicity and Renee go talk to Diana and Agent Watson. Felicity uncovers she has an arrangement on the most method to sneak into the CDC. She uncovers that Diaz may be after virals, including different strains of illness, like Ebola. She figures that he may just change the nerve as well. We bet that Diaz is actually doing this because he wants to become more strong, make him more powerful. So Watson, finally agrees to help. Yeah. So Oliver tries to go, and Stanley try to go meet somebody about, on this rooftop of the prison. They meet Turner there, and him and Turner fight, you know, and they capture him, and Michael J. White leads them to like a fighting ground or whatever. Yeah, it's like a fight in the prison, which some of the guards know about. Greg had no intention of helping Oliver out. So Watson takes Felicity, Renee, and Diana to the CT so they can break in. Curtis is able to find out by hacking Safe House that someone has replicated the information that they hacked, and that's someone being Lila. But Lila says her reasons for doing it. Sometimes you gotta break the four rules to do some good, Johnny. That's what she calls him, Johnny. It is will cause conflict in the marriage of trust sometimes between the two of them. But I do like the marriage between Lila and John. I've always had like the relationship between them. Yeah. Lila, I can understand her reasonings, for what she does, for some of the things that she does, you know, despite it being questionable sometimes, but she has her reasons. So anyway, they eventually get Diaz and him and his longbow hunters break in. Dana goes on the first floor before long denied by Silencer, and they begin battling. So Watson and Renee go in the living room, live with Diaz, Red Dart, and Kodiak. Excuse me. Diaz and the two lone ball hunters escape. Renee goes down the stairs to help Diana with Silencer, but on the other hand, she's ready to escape. Diggle tracks Lila down to defy her about the information. Lila encounters others that she is inside intel on. She's denouncing any kind of authority on this case. Yeah. Oliver and Stanley escort Turner to Brick's sheltered room. Once it's discovered that Brick has been running an NGO battle club of sorts, like I said, mentioned that before. Kind of like a fight club down there, if you will. Oliver goes to head with Samson and beats him at the end. So winds up slaughtering Samson to make it out of the battle. Then he jumps up there, you know, to talk to Brick. And then Brock, you know, eventually Vinny Jones tells him, like says the demon. They tells him it's level 2, which consists of some of the most dangerous criminals. Oliver, Battle Club, and he gets moved to level 2 because he beats up some of the guards, injuring them. Gets himself down, moved to level 2. And you know, he tries to even Laura from or 2. He's trying to make Laura tries to help Oliver. She takes a picture of Oliver's injuries, but Oliver refuses to help. Eventually, she's able to convince him to help. Somewhere else, though, Renee uncovers to Felicity that he has caught Silencer and is keeping her at the safe house. And she may know where Diaz is, and Felicity's thinking about torturing her to get that information. And by then, Oliver gets thrown into not the brick, not the hole. Sorry, but he gets into level 2, and the episode ends there. And this episode I thought was crossing lines. It was okay. All right, and my next okay episode. This is called Level 2. Begins while we're sitting in his new hotel. So he meets this doctor named Dr. J. Parker. He's going to do some work on him or whatever. Kind of messes with Oliver's mind a little later in this episode. DC Star City. Felicity is addressing Silencer on the whereabouts of Diaz. She's almost ready to torture her, but Renee stops you don't go down this dark path. Then why did you bring her here in the first place, Renee? If you knew Felicity was angry and upset and wanted to find Diaz, if she was this obsessed with finding him, even though this is on you, because you brought her to this moment. So they have this meeting in this center. The cops say that the people are saying the Star City citizens are saying, we need the vigilantes, we need the Green Arrow back, doing some good. They just, the cops aren't dealing with the wrongdoing now. Life was much simpler when the vigilantes were around. And Diana sees that someone has set a fire in the near of the structure. Zoe's sitting in the next room, so Renee has to go save his daughter, which he does, which the new Green Arrow also helps his daughter out. She gets saved by the new Green Arrow. So Zoe is admitted to the emergency for clinic for the treatments. Curtis and Diggle show up to determine the status of here. So Curtis brings her a Bebo doll. Yeah, we see Bebo in season 3. Bebo is a funny little cute character. Yeah. It's ridiculous what they do with him in season 3. I think it was season 3 of Legends of Tomorrow, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So Renee and Diana contend about the activities of the new Green Arrow. She wants to arrest the Green Arrow. She almost comes close to arresting the Green Arrow, but Renee stops her. And she's like, Renee, if you get involved again, I'm gonna send you to jail. But Renee does, and she does from jail this time. So Parker enters Oliver's cell to proceed with their discussion from prior. Oliver opens up about his dad, that his dad shot himself. And he puts like a machine in his head, and Oliver has a memory of, like, what if it was him there instead of his dad? Like, if it was him and William, would he shoot himself? So we see like a recreation of that, but with the twist of Oliver and William being on the island, being in the raft. So Felicity goes to approach Laura for her assistance in finding solutions of the silencer. Oliver refuses to talk to Parker, you know, this doctor anymore. So he starts torturing Oliver a little bit, you know, electrocuting his brain a little bit too as well. Diego shows up at the police to talk with Diana about imprisoning Renee. So Diego has to go get the base of Diana's ongoing enemy, or the vigilantism sees. Diana enters Renee's cell, pressed that he will work with her. Renee occurs and Diana give him a case. Someone has been touching structures in the Glades that engineers can fudge and revamp, so they're going to try to find out what they're, which I didn't care too much about. Laura can't get Silencer to uncover anything. Yeah. So Renee's ready to find the firing plane criminals. He and Diana can show up there before they use special assault. Diana's taken out by a blast, and the new Arrow shows up to help Renee out. She'll get the illegal arsonists and capture them, and then the new Green Arrow shows up. Like I said, the Green Arrow's got a mask on and her face undercover voice. Felicity and Laura stage a funny condition where Felicity tosses down a screwdriver. It's not like she utilizes the screwdriver to get away from her binds, but they set this up actually so they can get to Diaz. Then the flash forward features in the floor where you see William and Roy go to Star City, but the coordinates change, leading to what remains of Felicity Smoke Technologies, a business that she owns in the future. William solves a puzzle and obtains a Rubik's cube. I like the Rubik's cube though. He and Roy get tapped by the police, but they get rescued by Diana Drake, the future Diana Drake, who is now like the leader. She's not the captain of the SCPD anymore. It's like in the future though. Star City and is like a giant wall. Renee, you find out, is like the mayor, which I kind of laugh at. But I don't mind the makeup on Old Roy, but the makeup on Diana looks ridiculous. I think it looks pretty lame. Even on, Renee's got like a weird looking wig. It looks weird. I'm sorry. I've seen better makeup and effects than Back to the Future and some other movies as well with better makeup. I mean, give Rick Baker a call if they want to do some makeup. For real. I've seen better makeup work though, but that's just me. And you're gonna say, well, but this is a TV show that how much a budget. I get it, but get somebody who can do it a little better. I know there was an episode of Legends of Tomorrow where we see like an older Oliver in the future, and that was pretty good makeup. That was pretty good, I thought. Then you meet an adult Zoe. It's called the Canary Network. After William solves the second puzzle, Diana claims that Felicity is dead. She's like, I'm sorry, William, but Felicity's dead. And then the episode ends there. Again, this was an alright episode. Level 2, yeah. Some parts can be good, some parts I didn't care too much about. It was just alright. I'm just not really that pissed off about it. Alright, next episode. Okay. This episode I thought was okay too. This episode is called The Demon. It starts with Oliver being awoken in his cell. Oliver has like a gadget on his wrist. The gatekeeper moves on to another cell outside of his isolation. Duke and Curtis are the executive artists on the virtual covering. They think Cortez fellow by the name of Malcolm Bird is attempting to buy an unusual measures of these substances. But at the breakup level 2, though, Oliver stumbles into his past. Yeah. The gatekeepers, though, they strap in, they sleeve, they introduce before these stunning individuals. Oliver faces the detainees asking who recruited him and the two contained. So he's in level 2, so I'm still with the torture a little bit. But he does find the demon in this episode. But soon thereafter, Oliver is resting when he's stirred up by another person. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, he tries out this guy who, when Felicity almost gets killed, Oliver beats the crap out of this huge guy who threatens to almost kill Felicity. He's like, don't ever threaten my family again. This guy's in the hole too, but the prisoners, when they go in the hole down to level 2, they end up dead because the torture's so bad. And he meets Gu, who has survived the incident on Lian. He did survive the incident on Lian Yu. She's now in this jail cell. That's because she's one of those criminals. Tyler requests his assistance to escape level 2, but Oliver cannot. He's like, fine, I'm going to help you then find Reporter Diaz. So Felicity shows up to visit Oliver, but she gets informed that his British race have been taken away. She goes to Laurel to see if they can deal with this. So Laurel's trying to get information on this. If they don't know this level 2 exists, that it might be something illegal they're doing. So, yeah. She even sees Stanley, you know, and Stanley tells her, he's in level 2 of the prison, and that's when she contacts Laurel. So Felicity goes to Laurel, like I said about it, and they also go to Diana about it, you know. So they raise Oliver's therapist, Dr. Parker, as Diana Winston, checking whether the grievance, about it. Curtis comes back to Argus, and they will quiz him about the past circumstances. They doesn't want to be a vigilante no more. They will advise him that Mr. Tegler is the sort of person he is. Or Mr. Terrific. They call him Mr. Spontaneous, Spectacular, whatever. You know. So Diana takes Felicity and Laurel to continue to the police headquarters. They look through the records since 1985. So Felicity thinks it's her fault for all being in jail, even though Oliver made the choice himself. But after discussion with Parker, Oliver consists to help Talia escape. You know, because Parker's trying to torture Oliver to get information out of him. Not information, torture him was like, you got violent tendencies. This is awkward. He kind of reminds me of Hugo Strange a little bit from Gotham, played by BD Wong. But even though I think BD Wong is much better and more memorable in my opinion as that character. But mainly Hugo Strange is a villain of Batman. I don't think of not of the Green Arrow. But anyway, Curtis Lee's consists to go cover up a bird. Dale gives him a profile loaded with the birds keep on buying. And Curtis does go undercover. He puts some of these glasses on, straightens his hair back, just ties it up, and comes up with this certain voice, which I liked. I didn't mind him doing that. But he messes up the deal, and him and John yell at each other like, he's like, darn it, Curtis, you messed up. I was like, I would never put myself in danger ever again. Oliver tries to start their getaway. The two start battling some gatekeepers, taken to the room. Felicity reveals a document where blames Parker is for deleting the detainees, and she incurs that is what is going to attempt to do with Oliver. Parker is going to calm Oliver when he takes Oliver out, specials out. The two take portions of the gatekeeper's weapons and leave the blue room. They arrange a battle. So the guards and the detainees fight each other. Oliver gets with the USB drive holding the Parker's information to Talia and advises her to escape. That he'll be an outlaw and he won't. She's like, you come away. He's like, no, I can't get in my family. I'll be on my. He'll get more in a sentence. Oliver gets assaulted. Oliver Broadway step back into isolation. Watchmen come in and advise him that he's now level 2 because of Parker's information to the media. Diana is gathering Laura and Felicity, especially as they can utilize the information Vid Oliver's conviction. Yeah, they're trying to get him out of the prison. Oliver gets out of level 2 because they find out it's illegal what they're doing to inmates and they're killing them and stuff. Yeah. Oliver comes back to his cell and Stanley and a flash reveal to him that Felicity came and transfers a message that Felicity is nearer to getting Diaz. So Silencer approaches the Distribution Center in Moscow. She climbs the structure and discovers Diaz sending out Anatoly on the rooftop. He's approaching Anatoly, like grabbing Anatoly, like, you betrayed me, Anatoly, and like give him a beating, and the episode ends there. So yeah, but the demon is an alright episode. Alright. And this episode I thought was okay too, just okay. That was called Due Process. It begins again with Diaz torturing Anatoly. You ruined me, you betrayed me. But Anatoly's like, well, you're a man that don't have no honor, so I don't trust you. And he wants to ruin Oliver Queen. So Oliver and Stanley are getting food in the jail's cafeteria. Guard comes to tell Oliver he has guests. Charlie goes to the visitation room. He sees that Laura has shown up. He takes photos of Oliver's facial wounds. Tells him that they're the documents taken from Dr. Parker. By the way, Dr. Parker, at the end of the previous episode, the demon gets murdered, killed by Talia. And Talia was also the one that taught Oliver how to fight and shoot a bow and arrow. Felicity reveals the data that Antonio's gang has been slaughtered. Laura comes back and tells Felicity that Oliver loves her, that it may be past the point of no return. Laura's asserting in this event that she needs to speak to him in his plot. Felicity's tablet begins Brandon's caution they have found Diaz and the longbow hunters. Felicity and Laura join in the area as they showed up. They halted by Renee, who has chosen to join them. The three head inside and find Anatoly in a box, and Diana shows up with Argus. They rescue Anatoly from the box. The ship has been fixed with a palm. They get Anatoly out of there. Oliver's friend from Russia, but his bravado brothers are all dead. The team return to Argus, though Diggle believes that Felicity has another Argus activity. Diggle won't work for Renee because he's working with the new Green Arrow. And Laura, since she's not from this world, is like, and Laura's like, she just stumps her, like, really? Right here? Okay, you don't trust me? Fine, I'm gone. You find out this Officer Dunbar, one of the guards there, has been murdered. They think that Stanley did it, so they put him in there, put him in there. But Oliver believes that Brick set him up. Anatoly is ultimately persuaded to assist Orcs to track down all Diaz. Yeah, they're talking about what they're going to do with Diaz, how they're going to catch him. And Anatoly says something funny, but I can't remember what he said, but it's something that made me laugh what he said. But anyway, so, Anatoly's going to get back to go to Russia, but he has to help out Argus get this PC or whatever. Anatoly tries to go help them go do this, but they feel like, the provider man he's working for, they don't have no more, so they, because he's going to come and get this PC for them, but he nearly gets attacked himself. At Slapside back at Joe, Oliver's ready to sneak off and visit Stanley in the hole. Is that please help me, Oliver? You know the Green Arrow, I trust you. Oliver considers Stanley that he'll discover who truly murdered Dunbar. Oliver heads to the showers and can take a potential homicide weapon. In court, though, Laura shows the photos of a beaten Oliver. First change Jonah, even after pleas from Laura. The judge still denies that. This makes her mad enough that Laura's almost ready to. At nighttime, she's gonna sneak up on the judge and try to do her yell. But Diana stops. She's like, "You can't do that." You know, what I saw in there was a real lawyer. But sometimes a real lawyer can't get their way with them. Sometimes the judge will deny it. And attacking them, that's going against the law. Yeah, it's really attempted murder right there, Laura. Like, you should back in jail. So Oliver returns and the homicide weapon. The jail discovers thunderprints from Ben Turner. Oliver does find the weapon in the shower and finds that it was, Michael J. White. And he's like, "I didn't do this. You got the wrong guy." You know. So Turner goes to the hole. Felicity goes to visit Antonia in the drug code, but orders he's sorry for getting in there, and he's like, "That's okay." He's like, "Oh, Felicity smoke different." He even gives Felicity a gun. Outside the town hall, though, Laura is going to insult the appointed authority, but Eliza Diana stops her. Diggle, Felicity, and Curtis reveal an emergency is that incorrupts, including the gas cleaning plant. Diggle orders a citywide rupture that Team Arrow detonate these bombs. Diggle tracks Diaz to the head of the processing plant where the two battle again. Renee and Renee fix the longbow hunters again. Diaz is going to explode the most remotely through his telephone, but he gets shot up his hand by the new Green Arrow. He comes close to it, they're fighting with him, but he gets shot by the new Green Arrow. He's like, "Well, you're not Oliver Queen," and he gets knocked out by John. Diggle was ready to take Diaz out, but the longbow hunters get away, but Diaz gets knocked out and sent to prison. Felicity messages Laura to reveal that Diaz has been caught. Laura tries to goes to the left side and shows Oliver his question that his appeal has been denied. Felicity tells Antonio that he's been, you know, as Diaz is in his, the holding cell or in the, you know, this room where they, the interrogation room. Felicity comes in with a gun, she's ready about shooting. He's like, "Honey, this is the big boy's table. She's going to shoot me." Like, "You scared of me?" You know, it's like, "Come on, do it." But he's like, "No." And then Laura steps in, like, "Felicity, stop. We got enough evidence. You don't got to do this." I didn't like Felicity doing that. That just was not her character for me. It was out of character for her. You say, "Well, she's been through all this." I don't care. That just makes Felicity so unlikable. But Felicity doesn't go through it, thanks to Laura. She made a deal with the feds. They will sentence Diaz to the central government territory for Oliver's discharge, which means Oliver will get out of prison. While Diaz will go in there probably for the rest of his life. And that's what you think. Building up evidence against Diaz for all the murders he's committed. It closes with Stanley coming back to the cafeteria, thanking Oliver for what he's done. Stanley says something, he's like, about the knife or whatever, some information, and Oliver's like, "Well, I never told any information about anybody. Information about that. How did you know that?" And Stanley says, "Well, I knew that information," and Oliver's thinking, "Oh." So Oliver's thinking that he might have put that fingerprint on. He might have actually just sent the wrong man. Turner might have, Marcus J. White might have actually been really innocent. So he's thinking Stanley's the guilty party there. Yeah. But then you flash forward in the future, Roy reveals that the clue they finally knew was the Mark IV. which Santa recognizes they look the marker for. If one of the team were in trouble, they would help each other out. But Felicity became a criminal, taking her father's mental as a calculator. Along with Diana and Zoe, they found Felicity's plans for the destruction of Star City. So, again, an okay episode. And that was the process. Okay. The process. Okay. Another okay episode, in my opinion, is called The Slab Side Redemption. Sorry. No. I'm sorry, my nose is kind of feeling bad. I hate to do that for you guys. And now we're messing up a little bit. Sorry, just itching my toes. Anyway. Oh, come on. Anyways. The Slab Side Redemption. I'm sorry. Okay, now we're back. I don't know. It just does that. He gives Oliver waking his cell. The gatekeeper waking him advises him that he'll be discharged later in the day. So it'll be Oliver's last day in prison. And he's been there for a good several months. So, yeah. Dia shows up in the jail when the police escort him. But he's like telling the officer, go ahead and do it. And this officer that's actually get Diaz's pan shoots these guys. So it's like, it becomes like Die Hard in prison where he takes people prisoner. For the cafeteria, Stanley requests that Oliver have Lord to help him for a situation. Well, Oliver won't. He's like, Stanley, yeah, I believe you're the one that did it. As I Stanley, you're a psychopath. You did it. I think you're the reason to it. And Turner, you set him up. He's in this one. Oliver, he's like, so we're done. We're not friends anymore. Don't talk to me. I said, Oliver, I didn't do anything. Yeah. Oliver does go visit Turner's house. Like, she's like, Oliver, he's like, I know you're innocent and I'm sorry for putting you here. I'll get it fixed. I'll fix everything. They'll take it up a lot on the team and Argus about to get him moved. Oliver's called to the parents' room where you know, Diaz is in camouflage. He's like, I'm gonna kill and take everything away from you, and just pisses Oliver enough to punch the window. This is where the course had to stop him. He's going to tell Oliver above all. He's going to cause Oliver to endure by executing the remainder of the family. Going to kill Felicity and William. Make that threat. He gets tased too. Tased as well. Oliver's able to, make like a little bomb or whatever, get out of his cell, which he uses to get to the other cell. Watchmen have got a holding on him. Yet Oliver begins battling them. He fights with them. Oliver starts, pretend to be one of the guards or whatever. Diaz that were taught to them was like, you're gonna be tortured in this prison and blah blah blah. And one of the guys like, why don't you just shut up, and Diaz like stabs him in the throat and shoots the other guy down. And he says, if you guys team up with me, we'll take Queen down. We'll get out of here. Don't you hate these men? Don't you get out? Like Diaz does this big speech, and they're like, yeah. So they decided to team up with him. So Oliver's attempting to find Diaz where he's caught by Brick and Sampson. He begins the battle of the trio. And I do like it when Turner, when Michael J. White shows up and fights back. It's cool to see him in action as well. I do believe Michael J. White is a more martial artist in real life. Like I like his fight scene with Van Damme and Universal Soldier: The Return. I think that's an underrated sequel. That's just my opinion. But yeah, Michael J. White. It's always good to see him in action and fighting in any movie he does. He just finds the control room and discharges each and every detainee. Him and Oliver have a talk on the radio, and it's like, I'm gonna get you with everything. And This thing he like stabs him in the throat. You guys can see him cut. So I'm like, oh, there's blood there. So yeah, so none of this show blood. This show. Oliver Lee took a stab at discovering Diaz, but Stanley tracks him down and infuses him with a string syringe. He's like, Oliver, you listen to me. We would be good friends. We've been partners. But Oliver was able to like knock him out or whatever. Oliver gets away from Stanley and meets Turner in the grocery store. But the two work on social affair weapons to bring down the detainees in the wreck where Diaz is found. The two show up in the jumbo corridor and make brisk force of the detainees, yet for a long they discover that Diaz is plainly unstable. Diaz explodes the gadget, which likely cause fires everyone throughout the jail. Oliver and Turner split up, but he gets Turner to help the other watchmen and guards to safety. Oliver finds Diaz and the two start battling. They start fighting. He's like, he's like, I'm a bit stronger now. Oh, Felicia was killed. Was like, I don't believe you. You're lying. But Oliver gets the advantage, beats him, and then knocks him out. And you know, he's just passed out, knocked out for the count. Stanley and Brick run into another, and the both attempt to escape through the window. And Stanley, who has a knife, stabs Vinnie Jones and kills Vinnie Jones. And I wish they didn't do that. I wish they would kept Vinnie Jones alive to escape from prison. Maybe him and Oliver, would have fought a little later in the season. That would have been cool, I thought. But no, they killed Vinnie Jones. Vinnie Jones, I think, is another good actor. I think they could do a lot more with his Brick character. I would like to see more of him. But no, the Stanley, yeah, he's a psychopath, but I didn't care for his character very much. But he escapes the jail, and Michael J. White's character Turner, he gets thanked by the guard that he saved. He's like, thanks him for saving his life. And Oliver, is gonna try to do everything to get him out of jail. Oliver's taken outside. He's welcomed by Felicity and Diggle, and him and Felicity share a kiss. And you know, it's kind of zooms out, and you see the prison, and the episode ends there. But an okay episode. Mhm. And that was the Snapshot Redemption. Okay. Then another okay episode of my pen. Okay, we're 1 hour and 8 minutes. Okay. Unmasked. This episode I thought was okay as well. I remember I was not talking about the crossovers came up. You look at Elseworld crossover came after this, but I will not be talking about that. So yeah. So after that, Oliver attempts to get his life back in order. Oliver's welcome back to the public. Oliver throws like a speech. Um, well, Mayor Pollard, who's now the mayor, who took Oliver's place afterwards, after he was arrested and stuff. This lady he dealt with in the beginning, now she's like the mayor that Oliver talked to in season 5 and season 6. Had these certain conversations about political stuff, but somebody almost gets killed, and Oliver, I like the moment where Oliver like catches an arrow, and they have a toast to welcome Oliver back. You know. And the new Green Arrow, of course, gets suspected of this murder, or attempted murder. Oliver and Felicity battle Oliver's imprisonment upon their lives and relationship. After she assists Oliver with capturing Max Fuller. After she assists Oliver with capturing Max Fuller, Diana approves Oliver to work with the SCPD as an special appointment to get away from the counter vigilante law. Elected the traditional mayor of Emily Pollard, who says no, he's a vigilante. Vigilantes don't work with the law. So Diggle and Milo associate that Dante painting that they're looking for. This painting has an insane history with numerous military cells, claim both that the Longbow Hunters and Diaz have it. Unnoticed to Team Arrow, they visit Diaz in jail to demand his help. The new Green Arrow is uncovered as Robert Queen's girl, well, as his daughter, Amiko. You see Amiko in the beginning. You see her just waking up, and she's like, there was an exercise. She's just like training with her, training and stuff. Yeah, yeah. But you find out this new Green Arrow is. They even tried to, Renee, who's come in contact with this Green Arrow, doesn't come alone. Oliver chases the new Green Arrow, doesn't catch her, but yeah. But like I said, you found out that Amiko is Oliver's half sister. But in flash forward, yeah, because you just see Amiko take her mask off. Yeah. Oliver's also talking to this man that he knew back at the time who, when he started his club, when he started to come back to Star City, he uses the cover to let people know he's not Green Arrow, but he found this man doing some illegal stuff. Oliver finds that out. They set up the Green Arrow. He gets arrested. Oliver, goes in his Green Arrow suit, but he doesn't put his mask on, which is one thing I hate. By the way, he's not wearing his mask. Oliver's like this for the entire season. He wears a suit here, but he doesn't wear his mask. So, this is what you get of Green Arrow. But I do miss that he's not wearing his mask, though. People that record him, Oliver did put an arrow almost in him. It was cool to see, but I do miss him wearing his mask. Even though Oliver tries not to wear his mask, I'm like, come on. That's like Batman. I just take it. I mean, I'm saying he's still Green Arrow, of course, and Bruce Wayne is still Batman, even without the mask. And Oliver, he's still Green Arrow, even without his mask. But I do want to see him wear his mask and suit because I think that's cool. That's just me. Yeah. But anyway, we get in the future. Diana Williams O tracked down a lady known as the Black Star, and you see her being a badass as well. She was leading points of the Mark IV. It was not all remain up to United Group. So they need to talk to this lady about Felicity, that she may know this Black Star woman. You find out is, spoiler alert, Mia Smoke, Felicity's daughter, but we'll find out in the next episode, I think. Anyway, this episode was alright. Unmasked. Yeah. Alright, no crossovers, remember, with the Flash or Supergirl. Alright, and next is another favorite episode of mine. It's called My Name is Amiko Queen. We'll get to the episode, hold on. Now, at the end of the first episode, he made 54587. I see Omiko has a list of people, kind of like Oliver had when he started out as the hood, having a list of people. And you see Omiko, like, so she's doing her training and stuff, has her own, like, her own little layer. She's trying to get out to escape criminal. You see Omiko going to this bar. It's him discovering the area of one of William Guntler, one of the people who's on our list. And she's like, "What did he ever do to you?" He's like, "I never get personal with my help." She's attempted to break in to, yeah, to get these documents. She breaks into the building. She gets shot in the arm. Renee's taken out the waste trash. Then Amigo shows up. She first her up, but she unmasks herself in front of him, and of course he's to help her out. Somewhere else, Diana is tempted to ask Oliver to return the suit on. Yeah, he shouldn't have run attempt to deal with his marriage with Felicity. So Diana gives Oliver a DNA test for who the new Graham might be. Lila starts talking to record the attempt to get data, but he says he needs attorney, so they're gonna make Diaz part of the Suicide Squad, which we do see Cupid once again. And Cupid, I do like the moment when she was flirting with Curtis. She winks at him in a sexy way, but he's like, "You're not my type." I'm like, "You're an idiot, Curtis." Yeah. And by the way, she's a sex character. Then we do also see Kelly Hu come back as China White, which I thought was cool. Then you get Joe Wilson, that's whatever Joe, Slade Wilson's son. So that was cool. But Diaz being, I'm sorry, Diaz, you're not as crazy villains as they are. Well, in my opinion, he wants a lawyer, but it's like you don't get no lawyer here. You know, Lion covers that his entertainment is under the table, and no one knows he's in the authority of the so they can do what they want with him, torture him if they wanted to. So Oliver takes the DNA to Felicity. She runs some tests, and Oliver's like, "What? I have a sister." So he pretty much found that his father, Robert Queen, Robert had an affair, just like Myra Queen had an affair with Malcolm Merlin, and of course they had Thea. So it's like he's got two sisters, but two half sisters. We don't get Thea. I did miss seeing Thea, but the actress Willow Holland, who plays Thea, Willow Holland, sorry, who plays Thea, I guess she's out of the show, and I hate that. You know, I really do. I'm like I said, she left Star City, I think, by the end of season 5 or season 6 or whatever, something like that. I don't remember, but Thea's gone, so no more Speedy. Pretty much, I'm like, oh, that. Well, she was on season 6, but she left the show. The actors, I guess, left the show, just like Quentin. I do miss these characters. I miss characters that I cared about. They did have a good team. They brought a new team, and you know, just some of the storylines they were going with here. I just with the following seasons, I didn't care. At least I did miss the Thea character, but it was nice to see Rory again. You know, a little bit more in this season. I think that yeah, there's also an episode where Roy, gets like a punch from a guy or whatever, and a really bad punch, and first thing he starts doing is attacking that, starts beating his head to a wall. Kills, but it's stopped by Diana. But I'll get to that, the reason for that why later. So Amigo and Renee go out in the field, and Renee with he does put his wild dog suit on to help her earlier, which got him arrested by Diana. Renee shoots at a sharpshooter that's going to take Amigo out, and she gets mad at him. He's like, "You get in my way again, I'll put an arrow in you." And that reminds me of that Oliver would do that. Oliver did that to him when they first met. Yeah. So thereafter, but she's pissed at him for doing that, which I don't blame her. She's like, "No offense, I know I don't like Renee at all." I'm like, "Dude, you're just a weak link for a superhero. You suck for a hero." Wild dog. Yeah. And he's back to his original crappy looking suit with the hockey mask on. So he's not dressed up like Jason X. He's just back to dressing up like Jason Voorhees once again. Lana hands over the cross to Samuel Jackson Diggle. If Diaz hands over, sorry, Dante, they'll let him walk. So he agrees with this arrangement. Lana discusses with him that they're searching for Diaz to stay more up to date. Former Suicide Squad. Oliver and Felicity break the captivity boxes of things from Oliver's youth, trying to discover more data about Amigo. Renee and Amigo get together, and the last discovers her GM personality, her discovered companion. Experiencing the data, Oliver gets resentful that Amigo wasn't Dill and of the dad's passing. Of course, Oliver's upset for a reason because his dad. You find out that Robert Queen, like I said, did have an affair with Amigo's mother, but he abandoned Amigo and said, "See you later." He didn't want the public embarrassment, I guess you could say, or just wanted to hide. He just wanted to keep the affair secret. So he's like, like, see you later, kiddo. And Amigo's like probably what, 8, 10, 11 years old, something. I don't remember her age. She was just a little girl when he just says, "See you, kiddo." And this makes her a really disturbing person as an adult. You know, being abandoned like that, emotionally it damaged her, and you know, Amigo's trying to find out the man who murdered her father. Renee acquaints Amigo with Curtis. Curtis consents to get ready to unstable the team now. The three combine as a regiment and start taking out partners in crime. Amigo works her direction inside and battles the Muslim. He's ready to shoot him with a bolt, and keeping in mind that he's down on the ground, but he's like, I didn't slaughter your mom. He was on a crucial mission. So I realized that he was possibly set up, so she doesn't kill him, but she does take him out, punch him out at least. Back at their new safe house, Amigo attempts to persuade Renee to go invest more energy with his girl, but Wild Dog cannot. But he's like, my little girl would tell me to get my ass out there and work. Back at the loft, Felicity urges to connect with Amico and make things right. Diaz consists to Diggle's arrangement and argues amidst a dangerous thing in the river's head. The scene closes with Amigo's preparing against the sham. As she gets ready, she gives a monologue about seeking retribution. She's at her mom's grave, and Oliver's like, Amico, and she just sees Oliver. Oliver just comes to visit her at her mother's grave. In the flash forward, you see Diana confronts Renee, who is the mayor of the Blaze. Vivian thanks to security program Archer that he's able to create, working with this Archer that Felicity set up. You find out, yeah, and he's not vigilant. He's not Ball Dog anymore. But later, Renee meets with someone who's linked to the bomb. Santa plans to build the Glaze will sacrifice the rest of the city. So yeah, but again, an okay episode. Oh, wait a minute, I liked it. My name is Miguel Quinn. The future stuff, with Renee being mayor, I didn't care about that. That's one thing that shows I didn't care about. But I will say this: for the first time, it seems like Renee does listen for once to Amico. But anyway, let's see the next episode. Oh no, it was My Name is Amico Queen. One. Okay, and the next episode I think is okay too, and that is called Past Sins. This episode I thought was okay as well. It was okay. I did like My Name is Amico Queen. Yeah. I know it seems like out of the blue, just out of randomly. Maybe they could have brought Amico in earlier, but again, I can understand why they brought her in now. I could definitely see because the queens do have a lot of secrets, so you know. So Past Tense starts out with Oliver and Laura, unlike talk show hosts, where they talk about their past vigilante lives. Oliver is talking to Miko in the graveyard, but it cuts between the two moments because she doesn't want to talk. It's like, you shouldn't be here. We're not family. I don't want to talk to you. Yeah. After the show, Oliver and they talk about Oliver's discovered sister. Oliver and pretty much Amigo's like, I don't want nothing to do with you. But they start this new villain crew with Cupid, Deathstroke Jr. No, I'm just kidding. Slade Wilson, Joe, Slade Wilson's son, and China White, played by Kelly Hu. Curtis at the point because they're committing to putting Diaz on the crew and won't help them out. Diego educates Curtis that he has no other decision and will to help him body safeguard bombs in the villain's head. So they're gonna put what they do with the Suicide Squad. They put bombs in their heads just in case if Diaz tries anything, just boom. And you used to think Curtis would be okay with that, especially with Diaz, but he's like, I'm like, he hurt your boyfriend, which I didn't care too much about Nick anyway. You got your ass and choked by him. You think it'd be okay to put his bombs in, but he's like, no, I won't condone to that. I'm like, Argus has done certain things. It's like, Curtis, you're an idiot. You know what you signed up for, and you're bitching about it. You know, then leave. Which he eventually does. I'm like, you don't get a problem with it, but you know they're gonna do this. Yeah, I didn't sign up for it. When you sign up with Argus, you have to do things they tell you, whether you like it or not. You know, you don't like it, then there's the door. You know, Laura and Felicity meet for a discussion. They start drinking and enjoy the wine. Felicity goes to the washroom. Laura gets into watch the report, and she sees this person that she saw on Earth 2, a drunk driver who killed her Quentin Lance on Earth 2, that she killed when she first became the Black Siren. He was the first person that she murdered. The TV host gets killed off by an off-screen character. The following morning, we discovered the host was captured. He's over holding in prison to charge a video of the host saying that Oliver's a liar and doesn't have the serve the Star City. The video is run on all nearby news stations. Oliver has already saved the guy. Curtis and save the TV host. Curtis and Diggle proceed with the conversation on whether to reclaim Ghost Protocol. Laurel approaches Felicity about the puzzling man at the bar that prison made from Earth 2 and inquires him as whether there's a method to check whether the person is. The CCPD break down the video and check the area in the glades where it was sent. They tap the zone and save the TV host. The criminal tries to get them. He's like wearing a mask or whatever, but Oliver tries to get him, but he gets away. Oliver gets back and has Felicity begin investigating the hijackers. Oliver ultimately understands that the assailant is Samuel Hackett, who is the son of the man Oliver's father shot. Which I didn't really get a big deal what they went with this. I did not care about this guy. What was his name? Sam Hackett. Wait a minute, Samuel Hackett. His father's name was whatever Hackett. He was his dad bodyguard apparently when he was telling Oliver to right his wrongs, and they barely had enough food and water to survive. So that he could survive, Robert shot, Hackett did, just plain shot him. Then shot was like, survive, and then shot himself. And I'm like, I don't care about this Hackett character. We know nothing about this guy at all. There is no connection. It's just, really, you just have a random character in here who's not a real big deal of the show. And all of a sudden, you're just forcing me to believe in something. I'm like, that was stupid. That writing was just so dumb. I'm like, just for a minor character that we know nothing about, we had to throw his son in there to get revenge. And he's like, what, the electrocutioner? I'm calling him that, whatever. Hmm. Curtis begins to run tests on the merchants, and when he does one on Diaz, so Diaz is able to break out though, and the villains they start beating up Argus and getting out of there. He even kills Curtis. But spoiler alert, it's not. He throws a truck like he said he's in the car, and she'd be trying to get away. But it's all in his mind. He's able to kind of mess with his mind or whatever. Meanwhile, Laura keeps being followed by the strange man from Earth 2. She tracks him and goes up against him. The two battle for a second before Felicity shows up and splits them up. Oliver considers Diana about the villain and ruins the charade. Oliver advises Diana that Haggett's dad was his father's murdered on a lifeboat. They go to his loft, but they find no answers. They separate the entry and search it. Oliver finds a notice board brimming up with paper slipping and such. Sam and Tim discover that his dad lost at sea the whole time. They realize that Haggett discovered the reality of what his dad, when Oliver's report with the Joe, what made happen. Yeah. Oliver and Diana have gathered to the police headquarters scanning for intel, but Haggett like breaks in there and almost gets one of the cops. He's like got these cops with electricity. He's gonna like kill them or whatever, and they won't kill. They won't go by Sam's order, but they're able to knock Sam out. Oliver knocks him out. I was like, no more death, no more, no more this. Hmm. Oliver says that he killed somebody's dad. I'm like, which I really never saw was a big deal. I'm like, okay. Again, Hackett was just a very minor character, nothing to this guy. All of a sudden, his son. I'm like, come on, father getting murdered by a queen, father's more revenge for his father's death. Prometheus, but Adrian Chase, was a more developed character, more interesting than this guy. And I'm like, that was just bad writing. So Curtis presents still with the data. He's this experiment program. Curtis is energized at the groups that he's trusted that they've ready to drop the Ghost Initiative. They reveal to him that they're not going to close the program down in light of the fact that they need boosts. The Curtis won't take the orders. Curtis like leaves or whatever. I'm like, whatever, Curtis. You know what you signed up in for. They're still going to go what they're going to go with. So Felicity approached Diana about Collins and later revealed that Collins is currently in jail because of open erasure, which I didn't mind that going on. You know, Diana sees this note saying, gets a threat from this note. So does Laurel. Yeah, and then the episode ends there with somebody threatening them. But anyway, that was past sins, which I thought was okay. I think they should have focused more on Amiko in this episode. And then another okay episode, in my opinion, is when after one was okay. I'm just looking. The Star City Slayer. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Holy crap. I'm sorry. No, that's not the next episode. That was Past Sins. Was that just more down? Okay, no, not an okay episode. One of my favorite episodes. Emerald Archer. Okay, another favorite of mine. Well, this episode begins with this documentary, which I like. You see the Warner Brothers logo, which I like. You see an interview by Quentin Lance. In this episode, you have the people that guest star is Paul Blackthorne, who played Quentin Lance in the show, and even Grant Gustin and Katie Lotz. They make guest appearances as well. And Kelsey Grammer is like the narrator, so okay, cool. At times, they include Quentin Lance, which talks about being soft, and then Sarah Lance, the Queen. You do well. Thea just has a quick cameo, and just seems like she wants to. Yeah, she just has a few seconds, which it was nice to see Thea again, but it was just for 5 seconds. You see Rory. I'm talking about Ragdoll character, but for 5 seconds because he's doing his interview and he's like, "Okay, can I go now?" I'm like, I wish they would have done more character. You get, of course, interviews from Diana, Felicity, even Grant Gustin, Oliver, Grant, as Barry Allen, the Flash, which they don't know that, of course. But Barry says something funny because a little later on the show of the Flash, they did make I think Barry a little too whiny. So it was nice to see his quick, 5 seconds of humor there. Mhm. Yeah, and it was nice to see Rory too. Ragman was such a cool character that this show sucked at handling. you know, Such a cool character. They could have done a lot more with him, but once his rag just ran out or blew out, whatever, it was just like, okay, see you. You know, yeah. You have a cool character, you at least do something with him, but you just throw him away. There's Dark My opening scene. This is between, back to the ballad of the show, and no more scenes where the team is chasing after this group. Yeah. So Oliver, thanks to Mayor Paul being okay with it, he gets to work with the CCPD. Putting on his green shirt, not his mask, but just like this, just wearing his suit like this. Yeah. Oliver gets also, almost touches evidence, and the lady, this forensics scientist like Barry, like don't touch the evidence, would damage it. But He's able to get the evidence, not touching it, give it to Felicity, figure out what they need to figure out. But that's in a previous episode. Sorry. We find that Amigo has been hijacked by a stranger vigilante that Curtis begins calling Shimmery. Long run, Oliver is ready to pursue Diggle to let the group use August and track down the Shimmery down. They discover he's been keeping tugs with the vigilante as trophies. Mayor Pollard arranges an official Q&A event for banter against Oliver. Her and Oliver shake hands and have a little banter going on there, but it results in Team Arrow. Eric's up this new vigilante tracker, guy with his mask. Probably one of the pictures. I ain't gonna look it up right now, but you got just like he's from Halo or something. Oliver, they have to, they fight this vigilante. Pretty cool fight scene though, but then the vigilante's gonna get arrested. And Diana, who Mayor Paula did not know was the Black Canary, she saves her from being hurt, from being killed by using her canary cry. But they do bring down Shmiri. Ballard shows up with a crew of cops to capture them for overstepping the law because the vigilante had, you have Mr. Terrific showing up, Spartan and Wild Dog. Yeah. This leads Diana and Oliver to turn in their resignations for the following day and inspecting move. Pollard tells the two that even though she doesn't agree with Oliver, that she's suggested DA Lance to document the charges. She offers every individual for Tina Arrow an occupation with the police division so they can work inside the law, not outside of it. They seem to highlight the arrival of William from school, but after he battles with Felicity, he's really been removed from. Well, and he's in a bad mood. William's in a bad mood, has an attitude with Felicity, which I don't blame him. It was her. It was a bitch thing for her to do. Let her do that. Oh no, you say she wanted to protect him, but you abandoned him basically, Felicity. So that's a good mother you are. I understand she's trying to protect William, but she should have gone protection with William, not leave him behind. Not thinking clearly. Again, she wasn't because she's just too emotional of a character. I just think Felicity, the way they do this character, she is not very good at controlling her emotions. I think Laura can at least. This is why I'd rather him be with Laura because Laura can handle herself. Even if it was our two Laura and Oliver in a relationship, okay, that would have been maybe not too much, but this show could have done so much something more with that. For me, Oliver and Felicity, it's always just like the writing was forced for them to be together. Yeah. Anyway, William, you find out, he's been kicked out of school, whatever, or hasn't been going to school because he got into a fight, which Oliver talks to him about. Even though I'll talk about it later. Sorry, but there's some issues there. But then the scene closes with Oliver telling the group that he anticipates modifying the Team Arrow last season for last season since there's been one of the visuals can work in light again. In the scene about in the future, Connor Hawk and Blackstar find Team Arrow's refuge. They like tortured them, almost like trying to beat them information of them. Then she reveals that she's Mia Smoke. Connor Hawk is the adoptive son of John Diggle and Lila Diggle. So, yeah. But I did like the Emerald Archer. I do like the whole documentary thing going on though, and some of the action in it was cool. But there was Emerald Archer. All right. And this episode was okay. We're in 1 hour 39 minutes. Okay, Star City Slayer. Right. Okay, we got 11 more episodes to go, guys. Star City Slayer. Remember, there's gonna be a part 2 of this video as well. But Star City Slayer, it was okay. So the team is still getting more threatening notes, like including Diana. Even when she gets at work, Diggle gets the same one at Argus, along with Renee. They some person is making threats toward them and their families and stuff. So they start to investigate these notes. What's going on here? They discover that one of Ricardi's has been essentially has been executed, and some of it was abandoned. Curtis examines it, but you find that he was killed with a knife. With a knife. Yes, spoiler, it's Stanley, Oliver's former prison cellmate who killed Officer Donbar, who escaped, who killed Vinnie Jones's character and got out of the prison. He's the Star City player, you know, who has like an obsession with Oliver and the vigilantes, of course. So Curtis examines it. They say it uses an uncommon medication used to casualties. He uses medication just to like paralyze you. They track down the main shipment of the medication to Star City once over a house in Glades. They go to the Glades, and this house is like really creepy. Cool looking haunted house. And they said, let's split up. You know, they said, Curtis, don't use your D-spirit. Like telling the killer we're here. Thought that was funny. And they split up. And since it's a creepy like haunted house, you know, Curtis like, come on, we'll get split up. You know what happens in horror movies? You split up, you die. You know, that going on there was a little creepy. But the killer walks up behind her. He's wearing a mask. But Stanley like doesn't kill Diana. Well, he slits her throat. It doesn't kill her, but it damages her canary cry, so she loses her power. You know, because of it. When she's looking at this typewriter, and Oliver and Felicity are having a talk with William. He's about to make William Waffles like, okay, you don't get those waffles in, and he tells him what's going on, and him and Oliver, they've started yelling at each other, and I thought William was being a bit of a brat here a little bit, but I can understand maybe why again what he's going through. Kids will sometimes yell and scream at you. You know, when kids don't get their way, they do scream at the parent. I'm sure. I'm not a parent myself, but I'm sure those that are parents, your kids ever get mad at you, they probably will yell at you. I can understand they're trying to protect their kids. I can understand that anybody who's kids, you want to protect your child, but abandoning them too is a different kind of thing. You gotta remember they're humans as well. They're not little aliens. They're not little robots you're raising. But he calls in his grandparents, and Albert tells his grandparents that Felicia's a good mother. Yeah, Felicia's a good mother. He can't even protect William. She sucks at that. And two, she just said she sends Williams away. She should have went to. I still think she went. Instead of having a discussion with Diaz, I'm like, they'll get Diaz. You know, just stay at Argus for protection. Yes, Felicity can be a badass with a computer, but I'm sorry. But when it comes to physical fighting, she's not good at it. She would get killed very easily. Hmm. But then you have, or other episodes have, that might be another episode, but anyway, I don't care. Anyway, Stanley shows up, freezes them, and wants them to listen. And if they call him the Star Sea Slayer, he's just go crazy. And when he's going on, I thought this scene was just boring. I had to rewatch this scene a couple times because I was falling asleep. Because I was honestly, I didn't care about Stanley, but you know, they're able to move a little bit. They move like a drink, like a cup or whatever, a glass. To Oliver's able to hit Stanley with it, knock him over the head. This glass jug and breaks it over Stanley's head. It doesn't kill him, just passes him out. So Diggle stands to Curtis in employment. Lead Argus to assignment division, which could work well, but he basically by the end rejects it. So another job, he goes for another job Washington D.C., which I was happy. Hi Curtis, I never liked you. You're annoying. You suck as Mr. Terrific. Good. Now all they need to do is get Renee and Diana. I would have been happy. Let Roy Laurel join the team as Black Canary. Black Canary as the new Black Canary replacing Diana and Roy coming back and Thea coming back eventually. I wish, it would have just so much been better that way. If they just would have killed off Diana when she got stabbed in the throat, I was like, good. I was hoping Stanley would have just gutted her, but I'm like, or Renee would have got killed or something. They don't. They just survive. You know. Yeah. But he wants to go live with his grandparents in some city. Eventually, Oliver does agree to it for his protection, so they send him away with his grandparents. So the flash forward, like, yeah, William, Warren, Diana, and Zoe are attempting to find Black Star. Together goes to look at the Team Arrow bunker, which you don't, it's like broken down and stuff, really old looking. Black Star reveals to the group that Felicity isn't dead at all. She reminds the group of her the chance that, she's basically captured by the Gladys, this company or whatever, I don't really remember. Blackstar claims to be Mia Smoke, the daughter of Oliver and Felicity, and William's half sister. The episode ends there. Yeah. Again, I don't care about the special effects, but I do like the character of Mia Smoke. She's definitely Oliver's daughter, and I do like the character. And the girl that plays her, she's very cute as well. So let's see, Starfleet Slayer again. That was okay. This is making weird noises. All right, and this episode that was okay too. Let's see, we're in 1 hour 46 minutes in. Okay. Brothers and sisters, which again I thought was okay. Oliver tries to call William a couple times, but William is just ignoring him. Renee takes a stab at soothing Oliver, but the two begin continuing whether Miko can assist with the police division. Oliver does eventually, one of the episodes, see Miko at the end. They have a talk. But he's like, just give him time. Zoe didn't, when he says, after Zoe's mom got killed, you know, him and Zoe didn't talk for a while. He's like, give it time, Oliver. Dig was preparing the false suicide squad when Lila busts in, slows them, Dante's in a breeze. They go to the Queen home and advise Oliver and Felicity that he destroyed the Ghost Initiative. Felicity's licensed at Diggle's decision to group. Diggle's decision to remember Ricardo Diaz for the group. But Oliver has a go at talking her down. Even though Felicity doesn't agree with it, they don't tell them about it. And of course, Felicity's not for it, but Oliver agrees with it. Of course, Felicity just doesn't agree with anything. It's got about what he says matters and all that stuff. Because Felicity, like I said, this show loves to prove Oliver is wrong, and the show also loves to prove that Felicity is always right, right, always in the right. So Felicity texts Laura about a reinforcement plan the two have left if alone if Diaz were enough to get out. Felicity needs to hack the Argus server and remote, so she wants to try to kill him again. Diaz's mind. I forgot to mention though they had a break in or whatever. Felicity uses a gun or whatever, and Oliver's like shocked by that. I would be shocked too because it's completely out of character for her. Then she starts yelling over, "Don't get to question me!" And blah 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 blah. I'm like, she's being a bitch. And I'm like, I just find her more unlikable. Now she was okay in season 6. Could be a little bit annoying, but she's back to being a bitch once again, and more unlikable. You know, I'm not talking about the actress herself is a beautiful girl, beautiful woman, but it's just the writing with the characters. My problem with Felicity. Laura talks her down, so Felicity neglects to Laura that she's pregnant. She definitely tells Oliver, and but but Laura could tell, brings her some food and stuff to calm her down. Oliver and Renee, in the end, insist to help Amigo discover her mom as executioner, despite the fact that she's not authorized. They're eventually able to track this guy down or whatever. Amigo's about to get this guy, but Oliver, somebody's like, "Don't get in my way again, Oliver." And Oliver, said, "Well, how would you follow if someone got in the way of your mission? Wouldn't you be mad too?" And Oliver understood what he did. I mean, he was wrong there. The Ghost Group has a ghost setting up because Oliver wants to arrest this person, but she wants to question him. Their spread is blown and a fight sets on. Virgil escapes by leaping out a window without giving the group any leads on Dante. After the bomb mission, Lila uncovers her manager's request her a chance that they don't get Dante. Dougal needs to have a go at catching the tricky criminal one final time and calls Oliver and Felicity. The field to help close by Diaz. They merge in a gathering where Dante is yet another short time. Diaz runs the group's disguise, advising his previous manager that it's an arrangement for Dante to get away. So he sets him up, you know. Felicity, of course they can't trust him. Diaz tries to get away. Felicity tries to kill him. He's like, we've been this round before, haven't we, sweetheart? But then he gets knocked out by John. Uh, Oliver has a problem with Diaz. Diaz, like, he's real good at knives. Like, stabs one, he's really good at sharpening his knives and good with knives. He fights with Oliver a little bit, but he gets away. Then we back in the year 2040. Everybody settles their dish parties and starts realizing on where to discover Felicity. They make the announcement that Felicity utilizes the corn to organize the passing. Mia helps William fathom his Rubik's shape. The scene closes with Felicity eliminating Oliver that she's pregnant for somewhere else. Then at the end, you see Diaz, even though what he did, he gets arrested and he's going to go back and jail for his life. So they send him back to the actual prison, not in Argus custody no more. But he's in a cell and somebody opens the cell up and the sprinklers. It's not water. It's actually gasoline. He's like, ah. He got gasoline on him. He's like, what are you doing? And you see somebody put their hand out with a lighter, throw the lighter at him, and again he's got gasoline on his body. So it starts, you know, and Diaz dies. He burns to death, just like when he burned his in season 6, the dragon episode when he whatever the heck the guy whose name was tortured him when he was a kid and lights him up ablaze and he dies at the end. I was kind of happy to see that though at the end. I'm like, good. I didn't like Diaz. He was a crappy villain anyway. But that's the end of Ricardo Diaz. Yeah. Which again, brothers sisters. Okay, episode. Okay. And this episode I thought was okay too. We'll see where we're. Okay. That is called Training Day. This is where a crime syndicate is clearly trying a new medications without clueless individuals, which winds up killing them. The CBC the Star City's police department gets notified. As OC Mayor is working for the police, Mayor probably doesn't need them wearing their vigilante attire. So they have to wear a SWAT-like suit, which I thought was like really, which really didn't make any sense because this is an episode where Oliver and his team have to work with the cops. And I'm like, vigilantes and cops working together. I'm like, yeah, they can do that, but I prefer the vigilantes work outside the law. It's kind of like if Batman, like Bruce, didn't wear his costume, and instead he was wearing a police officer uniform. I just can't see that, that happening. You know, I mean, I know we're not talking about Batman here. I know Gotham City Police Department (GCPD) does not trust Batman, but over time they begin to trust Batman as an ally, and still let him wear his mask. And it's like saying, "Well, we're gonna identify you." You know, so I'm like, really, they don't get to wear their suits? Okay. So they go through the training, and Felicity learns how to do some computer skills there, but she can't hack if it's illegal. And they're training on fighting and stuff, including by the mayor. You know, but the vigilante cops have to work together. The group finds an intel on the team after Diana. As you can see in this little picture here, where they were, by the sergeant being questioned by, well, having to growing up with them now. They find intel on the team after Diana and Oliver quarrel over how they handle the situation. The villain, the villains wind up escaping. because they're gonna try to take these criminals down, and Sergeant saying, "No, we're gonna do it like that. We're not gonna do it your way." And him and Oliver, have an argument. They discover the pioneer of the gathering is James Meadows, or a guy named James, the owner of a nearby organization. Oliver ignores requests and approaches Meadows soon, dressed as the Green Arrow. Oliver, Oliver's gonna put like him in like this tank of acid or whatever, like almost about to torture him. And Oliver gets in trouble for that. Oliver takes him under arrest. Oliver urges the police officer to discharge Meadows after Oliver confesses to dabbling the person or tank of this tank or whatever. This caused the identity gives over Oliver's disobedience. But I don't blame him. Like vigilantes and cops should not be working together. They're gonna make an arrangement that should let Oliver do what he needs to do. He could have got him to confess eventually. Instead of Oliver taking him into the jail, like get him to confess. Because like vigilantes, like I said, they work outside the law. You know, obviously meet up with Diggle at the team arrow. It's nice to see the bunker again. The entire group collects there, while Oliver and Diana apologize to one another. Personally, Felicity reveals that she's been following Meta's DNA all over the city. The group unites on the Distribution Center and takes out Med's men, with plenty of this proof. The CCPD show up and they capture him and arrest him. The CCPD turns Team Arrow into a rare team. They can work outside of the law. They can work with the police, but just outside of the anti-vigilante task force or whatever. All Felicity at first agree not to tell anybody about the pregnancy, but slip up and they do tell Diggle, which is fine. They know Diggle since season one, so it kind of makes sense for them to tell him. Bronze Tiger, Ben Collar calls on Jorah to the jail, saying that Ricard Diaz has been murdered. But they think it was an accident. But she's like, I know who did it. He's like, it was the Green Arrow, the new Green Arrow. She's female. And of course, Laura already knows that Amiko is the daughter, not daughter, half sister of Oliver. He's like, but I'll tell you who the person is if you send me my son. And of course, that didn't work. Yeah. And then he tells her the information she needs to know. He reveals the Green Arrow. Laura tracks down Amiko and confronts her about Diaz's demise, but Amiko reveals she's always like, you're there was one doppelganger, and really, is Oliver gonna take your word over you? You know, more like she's got dirt on her, and then Amigo has dirt on her. But Diana's sonic powers only work after her recent neck injury, so it's not working. They see the future where William and Mia have a go. They buy a record device for $500, but he gets ripped off, and they can't do nothing about it. This guy's got protection, but they able to trick some people to get away, and they get him knocked out. Felicity needs them to give them remainder of the group. To ignore Felicity's orders to leave Star City and set all the coordinates to the Glades. So she records it and is like, no, we're not, we're going, we're going to go save her. Yeah. Bring out, Felicity's not dead. He said she is alive, just captured. Yeah. And they're going to go save her. But anyway, that was Training Day. An okay episode. Okay, and then it's Training Day. Okay, next episode's okay too, and that is called Star City 2040. So Felicity brings in this episode we get, Mia and the future in this episode. Felicity brings Mia in the lodge as seen toward the finish of the last scene. You see her giving birth to Mia. You see Mia growing up. She's being trained by Nasa Al Ghul. I hated not seeing Katrina Law in the full episode. It was cool to see her again, though. I wish they would do more with her character. Like joining Team Arrow, I think that would have been cool. We would have seen that. But it is cool seeing her train Mia to become the badass she is. And Mia is definitely her daughter. Yeah, I mean, definitely her dad's daughter, if you will. You know, As she ages on, Mia is prepared close to hand battle by Nissa Al Ghul. Mia goes home. She's like, I guess after going shopping or whatever she's doing, she finds a secret room that Felicity, has been hiding from her. A mysterious room. These PC documents about Renee and organization, about Diana, John, and about the vigilante team, the Team Arrow, which she didn't know, which she kept secret from her. Mia questions her mom about the new disclosure. Felicity covers that she's been chipping away at the organization in the Knolls, and realizes that her mom has returned to her vigilantism ways. Mia storms off soon thereafter. Felicity was needs left to know. She went to Star City. You see her go to this club where she's the Black Star too. Black Star. She's like a tattoo. She starts fighting and stuff, trying to find some answers as well. Time skirts ahead a piece of Mia and William, taking a shot at sneaking in the glades. They have to do climbing, and I thought it was funny when William didn't climb half the way through that she had to help him. It's like we can't just walk over there. It's like no, we got to sneak in. This is how we do it by climbing this over the wall. Climb, because that's the wall, between the glades and Star City. They track down Felicity's last known area. They get spared by Connor Hawk, Covert, and William and Mia figure out how to get a gathering to the Galaxy One CEO while William talks. Mia's ready to sneak around his office and get his DNA test, but at first she's about to fight because they don't let her in. And so Connor comes to help, and this pisses her off because I guess her and Connor, they've known each other for a while. They've been in a relationship. But she's like, we're done now. And she's almost ready to kick his ass. They briefly used to get these zones around the structure. They battle gathering of Watchmen. They discover that Felicity is actually still alive. Felicity is disturbed that they showed up. You see her like in this prison cell. He's like, y'all didn't show up. And I do agree with Mia. I can see why Mia was upset, because Mia, she lied to me over the years. And I can understand why Mia is upset. Yes, folks, you can probably say, well, she was trying to protect her. Well, Mia, I think, became a badass and never take care of herself. I'm like, then what was the point of trying to make her a badass in the first place? Is when this is like training her, Felicity's there watching, making sure she can defend herself. And she's a badass, by the way. I do think her character is. And you think your daughter can't handle it? I think she's okay. But I didn't want that life for her. Well, Felicity, that's not really your choice. Uh, when kids grow up, they get to choose their own lives, whether parents like to hear that or not. I'm sorry to say that, but when they grow up, they will make their own choices in life, regardless if you don't like it. Um, yeah. But Mia gets ready to sneak around, and William hugs Felicity because he hasn't seen her in good like 2 decades at least. But these storms are bound to see one structure start blowing up. Felicity and William leave to have a fight in the bombs, and they get together with Diana, Roy, and Zoe. They're wearing these weird looking costumes. Mia did look cute in it, but William, he's got like this mask on. He looks so ridiculous, and so does Felicity. You know, Felicity has the time to joke. I'm like, we're trying to dispatch these bombs, Felicity, and you gotta, oh, but Felicity's go like that. I didn't find it funny. I'm like, even Mia was annoyed by it, and Mia follows the CEO guy, whatever, and she like a badass. She takes some of these guys. She's like wearing a cloak and dagger kind of jacket, and Mia kicks her ass, and then she puts the jacket on. Like, I thought that was a badass moment. I'm like, okay, this episode is just about Mia and her fighting and stuff. That'd been cool. This character just needs to be getting trained to be the Green Arrow. Why couldn't she just go live with Nissa Al Ghul instead? That would be more interesting, I think, than this. Renee strolls in and tells the gathering that they're correct. There just plans on killing Star City later in the night. That he's known about, that he's working with the CEO, even though he thinks he's trying to protect the Blaze, but Renee's being stupid, and Renee, of course, even as mayor, doesn't listen. You know, same old with him. The gathering goes upon the Star City firecrackers. They find and constantly deactivate these bombs. Yeah, but again, an okay episode. Yeah, the city of the future star seems pretty bleak and gloomy and dark. Anyway, Star City 40, that was okay. Okay, we're in 2 hours and 5 minutes in, so let's see. The next episode I think was okay too, and that was called Inheritance. Laura, in the beginning of the episode, she sees after Amigo was threatening to expose her or whatever, she tries to, sneak up on her, but Amico like shoots an arrow at her. Probably doesn't see that as Laura, but she doesn't hit her with the arrow, but she kind of like it slices the arrow, like slices her arm, and she's like, and she goes see Oliver. She's like, "It's Felicity here," and then Oliver discovers Amigo and Dante are, Laura tries to enlighten Oliver regarding Amigo slaughtering Diaz and that she killed Diaz, and he's like, "I don't believe you. I think you're lying." And of course, in the mail, Amigo was right. Oliver doesn't believe her and doesn't listen to her, so she leaves. She's like, "Well, if you were following me, I probably would have a good reason to shoot you an arrow at you too." But anyway, Oliver discovers Amico, Dante hugging on minutes and faces Amico, who expresses later she shows Dante in the Ninth Circle for helping her when she was sent by her dad. Because at the end, you find that Dante, who's the leader of the terrorist organization group, sorry, you know, that Amico has his trust. So something's definitely going on. Are you thinking that is Amigo part of this group, or she just works with them, or she a member? Utilizing Archer though, which she creates, but gets into dangerous hands, by the way. So way to go, Felicity. Felicity creates Archer to help people, but instead it can end up in the wrong hands. But she didn't think about that, did she? She especially shields Dante and the Night Slicker for helping her. Team Arrow finds Dante, but apparently he trusts Amigo as a double. Oliver spares her, returns her to the Arrow dugout. By that way, she escapes in the wake of being planted a jammer, which brings down Archer and permits the Night Circle to take sarin gas. Grip Arrow tracks the sarin. Well, it might have been this episode where you see her not with the Green Arrow suit, but she's got this new suit on. You find out that she's not working with Deontay. You find out a bit of her past too. I don't think it was in the. Sorry, probably was in this episode. Probably sorry, but you see Amigo's past in this episode a bit too. Where she's a little girl. You know, you see Robert Queen who had an affair, like I said, and they had Amico, but he's leaving this one. He's on a band. He's like, can't help you. Like my wife and children, Oliver and they can't find out about you. Myra Queen can't find out about you. I was like, are we going home, Dad? And I was like, no, kiddo, we're not. He's like, Dad. And that's where Amigo met Dante when she was a little girl. She tries to like steal from him, finds it out. He trains her into fighting. And Dante becomes like a father to her. He tries to go to talk to business with Robert, trying to make a father daughter relationship with him. But Robert doesn't want that, doesn't want Myra. And then he tells her Oliver's going to be running Queen. At the time it was called Queen Consolidated. Or Queen Industries. Well, here's Queen Consolidated, where it's a business that he owns. He's like that's safe for Oliver. He's like is there anything? He's like no, Amigo, we're not gonna have this relationship, and abandons her again, and that pisses her off enough. And apparently she knew, yeah, that Dante are that there are these bombs that the gamma is gonna go down. They're gonna get killed. So Amico, has this information, but she burns it and she's like, just let her dad die. My dad abandoned me too many times, and you find out her mother was murdered as well, gets murdered as well. So she's out for revenge. So she, you know, starts this fire on the paper, and she knew about it. But I like that it was about Miko's past and stuff. But again, inherent this was okay. But I did feel bad, sorry for Miko, having to go through that and being abandoned and wanting to get revenge. I thought they did pretty well with her. I think she's a better villainess than and more of a badass in a way than him. But with that betrayal, you do see her getting set up though. But when all her finds out her treachery, when she puts like a signal or a tape down a signal where they can get them, find Oliver have a bit brief of a fight. But she gets away. They steal the bombs. They're gonna use this bomb to explode a lot of people up. Yeah. And Amigo is officially a member of the group, but an okay episode at best. Yeah. Or maybe it'll grow to be one of my favorites. Yeah, that was Inheritance. Oh, and she does talk to Laura again and tell Laura that she's not, she gets this footage of Laura being with Diaz, setting her up, and that rumors her to be Black Siren again. But anyway, speaking of that's next episode, another. Oh, let's see. Wait a minute. Okay, I think I. No. Let's see. I got one, two. Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop here. That was Inheritance, so I'm gonna stop here for now. Yeah, we got about four more. We got about four more episodes left, but I'm gonna go into part two. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. For Arrow season seven, my thoughts, less favorite episodes of Arrow season seven. So let's stay tuned for part two. I'm about 2 hours 12 minutes in. So we got about four episodes left. I'll go ahead and finish it with part two. So stay tuned for part two for my thoughts, less favorite episodes of Arrow season seven. Slot thoughts slash favorite episodes of Arrow season seven. Stay tuned for the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for the next one. See you soon. Bye bye. Bye. Stay tuned for part two.